Brookhaven has been updated thousands of times in the past few years. These updates added new features and tons of cool stuff, but some stuff along the way have also been removed. That's why in today's video, I'm gonna go back in time to show everything that's been removed from Brookhaven. Let's start with the most known thing that's been out of the game if you've been playing for around 2 years. The whole ocean has actually been added into the game fairly recently. All the water that you can find over here these days has not always been here at all. In here you can now spawn boats and pilot them all around the sea. But did you know that it wasn't always this way? Logging into this Brookhaven copy that calls itself Old Brookhaven, we can clearly see how the game looked a few years ago. In here you can know that before we actually had a gigantic wall at the edge of the map. For a good while Brookhaven looked like this. We just had a big wall at the end of it, so a bunch of people came here to the edge and just became sad as there wasn't anything else to see. That's kinda crazy, but not as crazy as the people in here with me, which are all subs of the channel. If you want to show up on videos or just play with me sometime, go follow my Roblox profile. It's at NanndoYT. Just click the 3 little dots and then the follow button and you'll be able to do all that. Today's it's gonna be quite a nostalgic show for all of you guys. Why is there even a gorilla here with us? If we go into Brookhaven Hospital and then go towards the surgery room, it may not feel like it, but some items have since been removed from this place. Right on this medical table there was a syringe. I don't think it's only there, but this side also had another. We can also go to the 2nd floor of the hospital, and on this table we would be able to find another one of those syringes. But as you can clearly see, none of those are around anymore. That's because of course it was removed from the game. Going back into that old Brookhaven game, we can go into these rooms and actually find the syringe right there. It looked just like this as well. What about this other table? Oh, apparently it didn't have another. Now let's make our way into the 2nd floor to see the other. And here it is. This one was actually bright green, as you can see, different from the other. If none of you know the reason why those have been removed from the game, let me explain it to you. If we go behind the counter in the hospital, we'll be able to find a note written on the wall.
Both syringe tools have been removed from the game for not complying with Roblox's terms of service.
So apparently those items were against some of Roblox's guidelines, so they had to be removed from the game for those express reasons. Even if it doesn't make much sense to me, the things that have been removed from the hospital don't stop there. Since if we go back to the counters in this older version, you'll be able to see that one of the cabinets is open, and it's actually the only one like this. Inside it, you'll see some papers written medical records. Beyond that, we can also see that on the computer screen, there's a message written St. Luke's Hospital with a Windows backdrop. If we go back into the latest version to compare, we can see that all the cabinets have all been completely remodeled from the ones before. And those medical records have also been closed shut. You won't find it here anymore at all. We can even try to use our drone to take a look inside, but not even inside the model you're able to find those. Not just that, the computer screen has also been changed from the one before. It now looks like this. They probably changed the screens so they don't show any brands like Windows like they did before. At least I think so. Now those medical records, I'm not sure why. Sometimes I try to think of a reason to have done that, but until now I haven't got a clue. Maybe it was part of an older secret that was never solved until this point. Those of you that play each update that comes out, you probably know about this new house that they added a little bit ago. The objective of this house was to be a little RP location for you to have your own storage and delivery company if you ever wanted to. But this is all really just a front. You can even come to this corner to find a little secret, like this letter that was written by Marcus Brookhaven. Beyond that, we can click on this mop and a whole secret passage below the ramp will open up, which gives us access to this brand new secret bunker of the criminal headquarters. You may not know it, but this place was based on something we got on another update a long time ago. Let's go back into old Brookhaven so we can make our way to the auto shop, which by the way, was all the way beside the fire station some time ago. If we make our way into the back room, there'll be this secret passage. You can look closely in here as before you had to click on the mop just like the one we have now. Exactly what they make us do in the latest update. As we make our way down here, we'll be face to face with the old criminal headquarters that was here a long time before the new one. It was also a lot more simple than the one we have now. They did have cameras on both the bank's vault and the police station. I already played Brookhaven when this was part of it, and it was so bizarre. But for some reason, I'll never know, they just fully removed this from the game, so it's not on any of the latest versions. The only part of it we have is the one on that new house. For those Those that have explored everything on this map, you know all about all these communities. But there's something about Blackhawk you may not have known. If we go into this other version of old Brookhaven, we're able to see a bunch of different stuff than we have now. A lot older than the other one we've already seen. As I was saying, the Blackhawk community could be found around here before, practically right beside the spawn area. Ain't that crazy? To get into the community, you needed to go up this hill right here. And here we had this tree right in the middle with another Blackhawk sign on it. While on the sides was where you could get your homes. One here, another on that side, and to others across the street. This community was only composed of 4 houses. Maybe that's why it may have been removed. Imagine just having 4 people living there when we have a really big map full of other places to be. It didn't really make much sense. The weirdest part to me is that this community is actually where we would find the motel and Brooks Diner nowadays. Which makes sense why the motel was on this side before. Ain't that incredible? Here we now have the street full of Brookhaven stores. But it's where the motel once was. That changes the design of the city a whole ton. It still had the Coke machine as well as the little reception room with the back room already in here. Nothing else really changed. It really was just where it was located. If you've seen a baby in Brookhaven, you already know the daycare. Here is where you'll normally find children for you to adopt. That's why you see some playpens around it. But before this wasn't even a part of the map at all. Because before that we actually had a whole agency building in place of it. So yes, the agency really did have their own building for itself. We can see their logo right there plastered around. And by the stories I heard about it, the agency was a part of the FBI. So at that time it was still a force of good. Nowadays that tide has changed and the agency is behind a bunch of creepy secrets around town. Looking inside we can see that it was an actual agency. There was an FBI room full of weapons and stuff like computers. Here we can find even more computers and even more papers thrown to the ground. They even had a C4 right here. Some handcuffs make sense as well. This is so nostalgic. It also had a second floor that at this time was still under construction. That's why this room was still left completely empty. Now right on this side we're able to find this little courtroom area. Here is where you would come for some lawyer courtroom roleplay if you wanted to. Just like the hospital, the police station passed through changes and had a bunch removed from it. This is the most recent version of it. We already know how it looks. We have the blue carpets with this gray floor. There's this counter with 2 computers for the officers and all that. We already know it. It also has a light switch to turn all the lights off, as well as this room for the SWAT team with a few cabinets, with their own computer of course. Over this way there's a rack full of guns. They also have an outdoor area if the inmates need some exercise. There's an interrogation room as well as 2 cells. Going into the older version, quite a few things changed. The whole ground has a completely different color than what we have now. It's too bright. The computers didn't change a bit. But look over this way. The light switch looked a whole lot different than now. It looks more like a lever. A lot more industrial in my opinion. Just look at this room. Everything looks a whole lot older. Kind of a retro style to it. I think the chair is quite ugly too. We also had this cabinet with a classified folder coming out of it. The drawer was open just like in the hospital. You probably already realized, but that part was just completely taken out and they closed them up. Towards the back, we still have the interrogation room just as well as the cells that always were here. Do we already have the vent system secret? Looks like that was already in the game. So this is really old. Something that's completely different from the latest versions is that since the agency building was still in the game at this point, since it was part of the FBI, that building is practically fused with the police station. They were both linked all that time ago, which is kinda crazy. So guys, let me know if you like this video a lot, then I may do a part 2 since there's tons of other stuff that's been deleted from Brookhaven that you didn't know about. Please comment down below about it. Leave your likes on the video and subscribe to the channel for even more. Why don't you watch one of the videos on screen right now? Just click any of them and you'll have a great time. Thank you for watching. See you later. Have a good one.